Hello everyone, and today you're joining me, Mr. Paolo Gaviola, and today it's actually time to learn some codes. So let me welcome you to my first episode of Learning Python series. And in this series, we'll talk about the Python, the programming language. And the first thing that we will do today is the print function. And we have objectives for it. First one is to familiarize ourselves with the print function. What is print function and what does it do? Second one is that we experiment and let's see where does it go. And lastly, of course, if there's a mistake, we'll fix it along our way. So what are we waiting for, right? Let's jump right in. Alright, so first, we're gonna try how to use print function. So it goes like this. You type print, then put some open and close parentheses, then put some quotations, then type whatever you want. But for this time, we will try hello world. Hello world. So how do we run it? You press F5. There we go. Did you see that? There, right there. When we use print function, once we put whatever inside, it will show up as that text only, not with the quotation or the open and close parentheses. Now, to follow that one, let's try another one. But this time, let's try my name. Will it work though? Will it? I think it will. So, hello, my name is Paulo. Then the same, press F5. There you go. Easy as that. As you can see, it's my name. It worked, right? So anything you put there will work. Now what would happen if we remove the open and close parentheses? What will it say? Let's check it out. Then this one, then Control S. Then we press F5. Oh, as you can see, syntax error will pop up. And it said that missing parentheses in call to print. So it means that we must always use the open and close parentheses for print function to work. Okay, let's just put it back right up here, then just like that. And it will be good to go again. Now, since open and close parentheses is needed, how about the quotation marks? Well, let's try and see, right? What would happen? Control S, then we press F5. Oh, now it says here in the syntax error is that it is an invalid syntax. So, you really need that quotation marks. So, now we know that the open and close parentheses and the quotation marks are important for print function to work. Let's just put it back to what it was. And let's run it again. Yes, of course, save. There we go. What would happen if we put quotation marks on the outside? Will it print? Control save, F5. Oh yeah, just as I said earlier, before quotation mark there must be open and close parentheses, right? Then Control S, then we run. Okay, so here's the thing. When using print function, all the things inside the quotation marks are the ones that will be printed, right? So whatever we put. So even if we put parentheses inside the quotation marks, that parentheses will still go intact. But of course, we have to put parentheses outside of the quotation marks as well. Now then, what would happen if we just print again? Let's put some print. Just say anything you want. Wait, let me fix this first so it looks appealing. Okay. Will this work? What would happen if we print this? So just like that and press F5. Okay, invalid syntax. So I guess we can just combine it all. We cannot just put all of the print function side by side. However, there's something in my mind right now. What if we do this? I put a semicolon before from the first print before the second print function. Will it run? I hope so. Then let's just save that and press F5. Okay, so what it actually does, the semicolon does is it puts the print function. It put the second print function below the first one. That's very nice. You can do this. Next one. But what if we put it down below the first print function? Will it still work? Well, let's see. Let's press F5. Yeah, and just like that, the same as the first thing I did with the semicolon. What it did was put the second print function below the first one, and yes, it looks exactly like here on the print function, just below the first one. So now, what does the print function do? What effect does it do? Okay, so first, as we can see from the first thing, from the codes that I've done, print function actually shows whatever we put inside the open and close parentheses with the double quotations. Anything we can put there, it will show, it will print. Anything we put there, it will be printed and show on whatever it will show on the things of the Python shell. Okay. So, what is the argument that the print function expect? Well, first, it should have open and close parentheses and the quotation mark. It can either be double quotation or single quotation. As single quotation, but open and close parentheses should not be gone. Should be always right there with quotations. Just choose between the two, double or single one. So, what values does the print function evaluate? Well, to be honest, anything that we can put inside the arguments will be counted by the print function. So anything we put in there, it will come up, and that will be evaluated by the print function. Just like here, we can even put numbers, uh, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Then save, then we run. There you go. Even numbers work. Now moving on. Let me just type it first. The itsy spider. Climb up the water spout. Dot. And the second line. Down came the rain. And watch this spider out. Then Control S, then we run. Okay, we have here. We have here. So the same as earlier, what we've tried is that whatever goes to the second print function will just go below the first print function. Okay. Moving on. How about if we put another print function in between the two? Okay, so that, and then press F5. You can see from the left side that it made the space between the two print function. So the first one is still in above. Then there's a space now because of the added print function with no arguments whatsoever. And then after that, the second function, the second print function rather, which is down came the rain and washed the spider out. Now, what would happen if I put something here, /n, Control S, then run it. What happened now was the /n separates the itsy bitsy spider from the climb up the water spout. As you can see from the left side, climb up the water spout is now below the itsy bitsy spider. Next thing I'm gonna try is, but if we put double slash here and then we also put /n here, what would happen? So the same as the first, so the same as before rather, same as before, /n are in before spider and climb and rain and end, and it separates them. And even though we have double slash here, it is only showing 1 on the left side. Okay. Now then, what we can do more? Let's try this. Let's remove n and put this quotation marks. we go. So what would happen here? What do you think? Control S and then oh, even though there's no space here on the right side, on the left side, show that there is space. So why is that? Well, in print function, all the outputs that will show will automatically use spacebar if we use comma, unless we use the SCP function, which we will tackle later. Okay, moving on. What we will do next is keyword argument. Okay, now we have here is, let me just, alright, now we will use keyword argument. So what is keyword argument to say? But first let me show you what it does. My name is then Paulo. Then this is the first keyword argument that we will be using, and that is the end. End is equals to double quotation, then print. My name is Paulo. Yola. Control S, then we run. Oh, sorry, I forgot the, never forgot comma. Control save. There we go. As you can see, what end does is take the second print function and put it on the first function. That's basically it. Now, what can we do more here? Let's now use the second keyword argument. Instead of end, we are going to use SEP, or in short, or in full, we're gonna use keyword argument separate, or in short, SEP. And instead of that, we'll try and use a blank space. Okay, then we put some here, and here. Okay, now that's done. Right, now that's done. Just press S and then run it. Okay, we can see at the left side that the words with comma in between uses the blank, or not blank, uses the underscore to separate those words, as you can see from the left side, because my name underscore is underscore Paulo. So what separate does is change what normally is used to be space if there's a comma, and change it to whatever we desire in using. Next now is, let's try and use both SEP and end. Okay, now that's done. Let's add some more. End equals to asterisk, then print, then SCP of course, because now Socket SCP is here, and he also sorry. So let's just save that and let's see what will happen. Oh, it can work. Both of them can work together. You see now here. Yep. It can work. So both separate and end function and keyword argument can both be used on a single print function. Now, moving to part 3, we have here a code that they've given to us, and we'll play around it. Okay, as you can see, we have arrows. So the first thing that we will do is actually to use this print function. As you can see, there are so many print here. Now what we're gonna do is make it only one. So here's what I'm gonna do. If you remembered the /n, then that's what we're gonna do. And this is how I'm gonna do it. You have your second line, right? Copy it, then we put it in here. Just repeat the process until all of it there we go. Then let's take a look if it is still the same as what the first arrow did looks like. So Control S, then we press F5. There we go, another arrow, but using only one print function. We can definitely do that. Next thing we're gonna do is double the size of the arrow. But first, let's bring back the first. There we go. And then we're going to make it bigger. This may take a while, but we're gonna do it. We're gonna start here. So I'm gonna put spaces here. I guess we are going to make it bigger, right? I'll put another one. Oops. Then of course for this one, instead of 3 stars, make it 4 star, or maybe 5 if you want. 4 stars better. Now for this one, let's put there. Spaces in between. And then add. And of course, copy this. Yeah, I think that's the, yeah. This is good. Now, Control S, and then we run it. It's now much bigger. Next thing we're gonna do is make the arrows side by side. And first, what we're gonna do here is we can use the trick of space 2. Now let's try and put it first just like this, and let's see what will happen. Yes, without doing anything to the code. Control S, and then we run it. Let's see what it will look like. Oh no, yes, it did multiply, but as we can see here, we have some things to fix. And this is due to lack of spaces after this asterisk. So what we're gonna do now is put some spaces and see what will happen. Okay. Let's take a look if there are still mistakes, and then we will try again if there are mistakes, and we will try to fix it. If there are none, then we've done the job. Well, let's see. Control S, then we run. There we go. 2 arrows side by side. So amazing, bro. You can see at the left side that we've done the job, that there are 2 arrows and there are no more mistakes. Not unlike the first one, because we didn't put space in between. So I look like that. Then let's go and see what more we can do about this code. Now, as from earlier parts, we know that removing quotes could lead to syntax error, right? So of course we're gonna try that again. But now I'm just gonna use one arrow. Those we're gonna do and see what will happen if we remove some quotes. Okay, let's move here. And second one. Here. Then here. Okay. And then here, here, and here. Okay. We saved it, then we run it. EOL while scanning string literal. So what showed was EOL. EOL EOL means end of line in Python. And this can happen when we forgot to put quotes on the end of the line. And in this case, we have one here, right? But this one should be the ending, not the starting. Just put it back. And one thing too is that when there's an error, only the first one will show until all of these are fixed, all of the mistakes, forgotten codes. So never forget to recheck all the things that you've typed. There we go again. We have our arrow. Next thing we're gonna do is, what would happen if we remove some parentheses? This one, and this one, and this one. Just gonna save it and then we run it. First thing that counts is invalid syntax. Because now that there is no parentheses here, on this side, it would expect that the parenthesis is at the second line. And since it is new function, it is invalid. That's why when making a function, always use parentheses. And only the first one, just like the EOL. Save it and then run it. And there we go again. We have our arrow. Now, what would happen if we make this lowercase to uppercase? Or this one to uppercase? Or this one? This one? Or this one? Save it and then as you can see from the left side, it said that name print is not defined. That means that when we use print function, just put them all in lower cases, because Python will think that this is a variable instead of a print function. So I always use lowercase when you use print function. Save it. And then run it. And we have our arrow back. Lastly, let's see what will happen if instead of quotes we use apostrophe. Just like here. We have one apostrophe and one quote. Okay, just look carefully here. This one. Control it and then we run it. Said that EOL while scanning. That error, just like I said earlier, is because we have our quote here. But what would happen if we use another apostrophe here? Save it and then run it. It worked, right? So when using apostrophe, make sure that the other end of it is another apostrophe, not a quote. Because it can still work, but it should be the same. Just like that. Now, in all, the print function is a great tool for us to put our values on it. We can do anything we want on print function, like the key arguments, to make things more easier and understandable after we code it. Another thing is, when we use Python, make sure that you always run it, and do not stay on the Python shell, because you cannot edit the codes there. So make sure to open a new file and then do it there. That's where you do the codes. Another thing is I recommend that we should explore more on what can the print function gives us. Maybe there are other more. Maybe there's other more. Another thing is I recommend that we explore the print function and the Python itself, because there might be other more key arguments that we can use other than separate and end and the /n. So that's all, and thank you for joining me for this episode 1 of the Learning Python series. Bye bye.